Good morning, good day, good evening. My name is Jonathan Regan, also known as New Questions from blockchaineducation.com.au. I'm doing another recap. It's been a few days and, well, lots is happening in the crypto market as we always expect. What I would like to say is, if you're new to crypto, or even if you're a member, just try not to fixate on the Bitcoin price. Everybody always looks at Bitcoin and thinks to themselves, that's kind of a barometer for how the industry is doing. And I'm here to say that's not actually necessarily true. It's easy to assume that since that all-time high at $20,000, that Bitcoin is now sort of less, it's worthless, it's kind of on the decline, it's like, it's in peril. But the truth is, it's all a matter of timing and perspective. If you think about Bitcoin a couple of years ago, 2-3 years back, you could have bought it for like $600, $1,000, $2,000, and now we're currently back at the $8,000 mark. So that's an incredible return on investment. So really, it comes down to your sort of window for looking at the industry. With that said, let's have a look at some altcoins that have been doing extremely well against Bitcoin. Before we do that, let's just look at Bitcoin. We see that we have this sustained downtrend we've talked about plenty of times. Let's just remind ourselves, coming out of this 200 moving average, coming down as low as 7,700. That's a 23% decrease. What have we got here? This starting to look like, I don't know, it's a bit confusing. As I mentioned in a couple of videos, when we're so close to this 25 baseline, we're basically going sideways. And you can see that Bitcoin's kind of sitting in this zone. It's kind of like a sort of a sideways ranging market. I'm just going to kind of do that and make that orange. I'm going to reduce the transparency. So you can kind of see that we're just sort of moving in and out. And does it confuse anyone? Or does it surprise anyone that we seem to have this cycle? A cycle is part of our methodology. I'm not going to reveal the methodology here, but suffice to say that essentially we're running sideways. And this, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, is actually fantastic news for altcoins. If we get this kind of cyclic pattern here, this is actually fantastic for the altcoins. And although there's not much to be made by buying Bitcoin here and sort of holding on to it, you only have a small percentage here, or certainly holding on to your Bitcoin here and then actually being at a loss down here. Bitcoin is kind of not the sort of thing that we as a company tend to suggest that you buy and sell. It's actually a little bit better to be in altcoins at certain times. So to put things into perspective, right now we're sitting at 8,248, and this particular price point here is the same as this one here, same as this one here, all of this, same as these, same as this, 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 same as these ones here, and same as these ones. So there's been an awful lot of time that we've kind of sat around this price point. And if you were just simply to sit in Bitcoin, you're not really making any sort of money. So let's go and have a look at some of the calls and the signals recently produced by Blockchain Education. And let's start with Vibe. I mentioned Vibe a short while ago in a video, 1 or 2 videos back, and we can see very easily that Vibe has been on a sustained uptrend. Let's go and work out when it crossed over the 200 moving average. It crossed over the 200 moving average and went 88% in 6 days. Now, I remember talking about Vibe in a previous video where the analysts and the algorithms managed to trap the majority of these moves. And these moves were really, really enjoyable. I actually bragged about them on camera. But look at this recent move over the last week. Oh man, that's an absolute killer move. 88% in 6 days. Out of this 200 base area here, going a full 88% in 6 days and 9 hours, so less than a week. And you almost double your money, or in this case, you double your Bitcoin, because we're measuring Vibe against Bitcoin. Really impressive move. As we know, explosion move here. The calls came just in this area here. Way over the 50 and the 200 moving average, hits the top of the RSI cave, goes DI positive over the threshold, an absolutely monstrous move. Perfect opportunities to sell here, here, and here. 1, 2, 3, we have a particular methodology that tells you exactly when to get out on those particular points. This is a great pullback, a great opportunity to buy into this support zone here. Just a fantastic move. 88% called in the system by the analysts and also by the algorithm several times. So multiple opportunities to get into this coin. Just one of many coins that were doing well against Bitcoin. However, there were somewhat 400 to 500 coins that have been doing pretty poorly against Bitcoin. When Bitcoin runs sideways, a lot of the cryptocurrencies just simply go down, losing a bit of interest, a little bit of faith. And then there's only a very select few that actually appreciate in value against Bitcoin, Vibe being one of them. Metal, we talked about that in a previous video. I hope you guys realize that from those previous videos that we really know what we're talking about. None of this is a surprise at all. I remember discussing the idea that we had an explosive move over the 200 and the 50, and this entry point here also lines up beautifully with our methodology. Explosive move here, which I thought was all but well and done. But then having said that, the bands never really turned red. We went 46% and then a monstrous move and a continued set of higher lows. Look at it, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Explosive move up here. And we're still looking at these higher lows. What sort of percentage are we talking about here? Well, let's go from the 200 breakout again. And we just recently went 100% in 7 days. Vibe, Metal, doing incredible things, all predicted in the YouTube channel. And obviously, if you're an education member, then you can see it in real time and you can talk to other analysts and other members about these moves. Great opportunity here. Really, really attractive, positive DI over the threshold. Excellent, excellent opportunity to make loads of money. Basically, double your Bitcoin in a week. None of this is a fluke. This is just cryptocurrency and the advantage of having a methodology and a team that are working on your behalf to actually find all these sort of things. We've talked about RCN in the past. The Ripio credit network, it actually came back into that RSI cave, the bottom of that RSI cave. I remember talking about it specifically when the analysts and the algorithms called it in this area. Now this was absolutely beautiful. You want to be in it here. You want to pick up all that. As soon as we go red, you want to get the hell out of that. And this was a great opportunity to get out of Ripio. And now we've gone and called it multiple times again as we've come back in and above the 200 and the 50. Now let's have a look. You can see the 50 moving average here, this one. And you can see the 200 here. So excellent move here, recently called by the algorithm. I think it went 16% or something. Let's have a look. Yeah, actually this move was a full 27%. I think we probably called it as it went past the 200 moving average, somewhere in this area, 13 to 15%. Do I think it's going to continue higher? I have a feeling that we might continue to see this increasing in value. If that happens, then this uptrend is going to strengthen. I wouldn't be surprised if we get back over that threshold and we start seeing an increase in these DI candles. And we might end up seeing a move back up in this sort of direction, back up around to that 650. Now, don't hold me to that because I'm just forecasting the future. It's much better if you're a blockchain education member and you can actually sit there and let our data systems and our analysts actually look at all the information in real time and basically tell you what's going on. But just goes to say that even though this was an incredibly impressive period of time for us, where we called it multiple times and the algorithm picked it up loads, it went into this downtrend area, which we know to stay out of. And then we saw this rapid recovery, which was worth another 17% in the system. Really, really nice way to kind of get that money back that you might have lost if you're a little bit late on your exit. Aion, I'm not sure how to even pronounce this, but a recent look here, you can see it had the same sort of pattern here. We had this kind of downtrend, and then we had this explosive move over the 50 and the 200, and the system has called it multiple times since. And we're running, I think this is just in the last couple of days off that 200. We went as high as 17%. And lovely little move here, really easy to spot. A series of higher lows. Here's your low, another low here, and a series of higher highs. Does this look like it could go a bit further? I have a feeling it really can. The trend is now strong and strengthening. We're getting some nice positive DI candles. We're getting a series of higher lows along the way. We see how it rejected that 50 moving average. The bears attempted to like break it down, and it just bounced hard, really hard. And it's also respected this 200 moving average a couple of times. We had a nice little recovery, broke, but really rapidly went above it again. And I mean, the bears have been attempting like mad to get this down, but it only spent a day below the 200 moving average before recovering. So algorithm absolutely loving this. Multiple different calls, getting you in and out at perfect times. Let's just drop down into the 15-minute chart because I want to talk about MTH. We've talked about it in the past, and we've just seen this lovely little explosive move straight off that 200. We had a bit of a ranging section here, and as we know, when you're ranging in and around the 50 and the 200, you don't really want to go into it. We basically know that the trend is pretty much dead. You can see how much time it's spent below the threshold. This is the threshold. Let's just move. That's the threshold there, and you can see that we have all this period of time here, just a quick move above, quick move above, quick move above, and then finally an explosive move here. It all lines up, getting in around this sort of area. You're looking at this sort of move. I think the system did something like 15 or 16% on the algorithm, somewhere out of this area. Yeah, basically did the full 15%. Would I say that it's going to continue higher? Not so sure. I think the time is probably over now. You can see got below the 25 threshold, DI negative, starting to get a bit of a series of lower highs and lower lows. We're in a bit of a decline. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back to this 200 moving average here and we find support and go ranging again. So nice little 15-minute candle myth there. Normally, I don't give out information about the calls that we're working on right now, but today I feel like, why not? Let's just talk about some of the more recent calls. The ones that I'm about to talk about are the ones that have kind of exploded in the last like 24 hours, 36 hours. So they're still not entirely fresh, but the trends are probably still intact, and there's probably an opportunity for some of you guys to get in. Let's look at one Luna BTC on Binance. We see a interesting progression, a series of like higher lows, consistent higher lows here. We have this channel that's actually been pretty decent, cyclical nature, sort of moving in and around, and then this kind of recent explosion of activity. When I see this, I kind of think that there's some serious buyers in the market. The bulls are really trying to push this coin out of this 1,000 zone, and good on them. Look, beautiful move back into the 200, explosive move. Algorithm picked this up well before it happened. Absolutely incredible amount of volatility and movement there. 24% in 4 hours. Nebel, N-E-B-L-B, just recently called as well in the last day and a half. Same sort of move. So a sustained series of higher lows and then explosive vertical candles here and here. Lots of opportunity to get in, considering that these are 15-minute candles. Like good sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, an hour there that you could have got in and out, and 1, 2, 3, 45 minutes in and out. Now, not everyone is capable of trading a quick 45-minute burst of activity, which is why we have the hybrid trading system, and that's why we're getting it powered by a couple of different companies right now. You can automatically enter and exit on some of these calls and actually make money on autopilot. So this sort of explosive movement might sort of confuse and sort of delay the market into understanding where it's going to go, but not for us. We're basically in these moves. We know that they're coming, and we get you guys in early. So EDO, another one in the last 24 hours, explosive moves. You can see beautiful pattern set up here, explodes across the 200 moving average, goes DI positive, and the trend explodes. Get in sort of down in this sort of area here, and then we're already at 25% in 22 hours. These are the sort of calls that I normally talk about in 3 to 4 days. I come on camera like this and I tell you about them. And it's easy for me to retroactively look back in time and tell you guys, hey, 3 or 4 days ago, you should have bought this. Well, I'm sitting here saying, approximately 1 day ago, 1.5 days ago, 1 day and 2 hours ago, our algorithms picked up this. We had a giant buy signal, and it's already run 25%. So big giant buy signal, make that nice and fat and green. You can see exactly the same methodology in play. 250 positive crossover, beautiful entry, skirts the top of the RSI cave, and continuing to make a series of higher lows and now higher highs. Where are we going? I wouldn't be surprised if we go to 6,000. The market likes psychological numbers. This is 6,000 up here. So would I expect somewhat of a pullback and then a move up? Yeah, why not? And then we get some sort of trend. We might actually refine that a little bit and get sort of a move that kind of looks like this, and then a pop to 6,000. And in doing so, we would have a series of higher lows and higher highs. So here's a high, 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 and high. So I wouldn't be surprised if EDO runs to 6,000. We'll have to see how it goes. It was called recently, about 24 hours ago, and already 25% in the community. Easy stuff for the algorithm, easy stuff for the analysts. We don't get this stuff wrong. Doing it all the time as a full-time job, it's great fun watching all this sort of stuff. This is another recent call. Don't know how the algorithm picks this sort of stuff up. All I know is that we've got a series of higher lows and then this explosive move here. Beautiful. There's about 1 hour period where you can get in and out. And I know that the algorithm picked it up around about 36 hours ago. So let's go back about 36 hours ago. I think that was 36 hours ago. It was kind of in this area somewhere. Yeah, around about there, about 36 hours ago. Picks it up here, a nice set of higher highs, and then just this explosive move. And coming out of this area, we're looking at an impressive 16% in 9 hours and a continued uptrend. Now, do I think it's going to continue going longer? I don't know. On the short term, it seems to be going negative here, DI negative. Trend is losing strength. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a full retrace back into this 200 moving average. This 200 moving average coming up through this area here. So probably somewhere into this area. Do I think that we can bounce and make a higher high? There's a really good possibility, I've got to say. This was a nice looking trend, and do I think that we could do something similar along these lines, where we have a cyclic move? Here's our cycle. Yep, pretty much sure we can do something like that. So keep your eye on NAV. Recently called. Lots of different coins doing well. Now, I'm going to do a video later on today about, is crypto dead, or is it declining, or I don't know, maybe I'm going to try and dispel some of the myths and the misinformation out there in the industry. But I wanted to bring back some sort of attention, and the members who are watching this from a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years back, will remember me talking about how the SEC and the FTC in America were going to crack down on a lot of these digital tokens, post ICOs, and they were going to declare them securities. And if that was the case, then a lot of these would be banned off the exchanges. Now, a lot of people were worried and they were selling a lot of their coins at the wrong time. And I was saying, don't sell your coins. This is before we hit the all-time high. And as we know, a lot of these cryptocurrencies hit their all-time high roughly around the time when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. And I was saying, no, keep your coins, because we had a lot of early investors and they made an absolute fortune by being patient and selling at the right time and not being scared by the FTC and the SEC. Now, I want to show you how all this played out in the end, because in the end, we have one of the biggest coins now, EOS. They settled with the SEC over their so-called unregistered security sales. Now, back then, the law was a little bit grey, whether or not a digital token or the way that it was sold specifically was in a way that a security should be licensed and registered. I don't know. The reality is that the SEC said in a press conference that Block 1 raised the equivalent of several $1 billion. In actual fact, a total of $4.1 billion was raised in ICO sales in an unregistered, unlicensed security product, and they've just been told to pay $24 million in penalties. So bring in $4 billion, pay $24 million fine. So it just goes to show that the blockchain education analysts looking at that fundamental news were completely right several years ago, a couple of years ago, back in the 2017, the end, we were basically saying, don't even worry about any of this sort of stuff, because by the time the SEC and the FTC gets around to charging some of these people, or some of these people and some of these projects behind these ICOs, the actual fine will be magnitude smaller than the amount of money that these ICOs are bringing in. And I called out several very popular YouTubers, and I'm not going to mention their name, but let's just say it rhymes with Bone Rays. I don't know, someone out there on YouTube might rhyme with that, who was declaring Ethereum a complete scam, an unlicensed product, all that sort of stuff. He was telling everybody to stop buying it, and this is when Ethereum passed $68, and I remember thinking, you guys are fools. If Ethereum and the Alliance end up getting in trouble with the FTC, they're going to settle. As we know, the FTC and the SEC has actually declared Ethereum and Bitcoin not securities. So in actual fact, they're home free. One of the reasons why Bitcoin went so well, and one of the reasons why Ethereum went at a $1,400 maximum. But some of these other coins, these newer coins that were launched post-launch, post-high, unlicensed, unregistered, didn't ask permission, just launched, brought in billions of dollars worth of investment capital through their ICO sales, and now we're starting to see the results. I'm kind of explaining that this sort of stuff happened over the last couple of years, and people think that the ICOs and the subsequent SEC and FTC action have doomed the industry. And I'm here to say that's not true and never was. And there's companies like this who represent pretty decent blockchain project developments who have got plenty of money in the bank. And just because the price of their token has declined, which most of the time it has massively declined, it doesn't necessarily mean that the project's dead or it's illegal or that they're getting pushed around by the legal side of the US government, that sort of thing. So keep that in mind. I'm probably bragging and boasting a bit too much here, but I just want to kind of say that not only does blockchain education have some brilliant minds when it comes to algorithms and signals and price actions, but we also keep our eye on the fundamental news, and we tend to know exactly what's going on. I mentioned recently in chat that I didn't actually think this was going to help EOS, the token price. I just want to pull up EOS. You would imagine that a company that brought in $4 billion, having been given the sort of the clear $24 million fine, that it really would have kind of boosted EOS through the roof. But we can see actually that EOS has had a pretty decent downtrend, and this type of recovery here is indicative of just a general step down process. I wouldn't say this is a massive trend. If we saw some candles that kind of looked like this, some explosive, buying candles, and we got back over this prior resistance and support level up here, then I'd be really impressed with EOS. And I kind of suggest that the price action had something to do with fundamental news and getting that $24 million fine behind them. But, a lot of people bought into EOS expecting that this recent news would actually really help them. But we can actually see that a huge amount of people are actually selling. They're just simply trying to get out of EOS. EOS, one of those coins that we're not exactly calling because of sustained downtrends. Let's go and have a look at it on the 4-hour. You can see what I'm talking about. Sitting below that 200 moving average, even if you imagine that some of this was due to misinformation, the fact that we've just had this information about them getting a tiny little fine and being legally in the clear, did it change anything? Almost nothing. So it just goes to show that although this information is really important and it's fundamental information that a lot of traders rely on, it doesn't really influence the way that we buy and sell tokens on a daily basis. This particular coin doesn't look attractive to our algorithms or our analysts, and even the use of fundamental news and all the misinformation and the garbage and the myths and the exaggeration that's out there really doesn't help us make these decisions. We're not like other groups where we just grab onto a bit of information and hope and pray that that's going to pump the coin. We don't do pump and dumps. We don't do anything like that. We're purely price action, algorithm driven, and analyst driven data sentiment model. And we don't get it wrong. To prove that, I'm going to give us a quick look. I'm just going to scroll to the top. This is my summary of the calls. As you guys know, it's been about 3 or 4 days since I've been on with my last recap. You can see the sort of insane stuff that has been happening. A continued series of higher highs for a lot of these coins, and the numbers just keep on going up. Hundreds and hundreds. You can see some of the more recent coins here, just delaying them around about 36 hours. If you want to get the real-time calls and know exactly when these coins are going to go up in value, you're literally to the minute, then make sure you're a member of Blockchain Education. I'm just going to scroll down here. As always, you can slow it down, you can press pause, you can have a look at the sustained series of coins, the signals. There is nobody else out there like us. I can guarantee nobody else is producing the consistency of the signals that we are over and over again. We have a team of professional analysts based all around the world in permanent offices. We've spent over $1 million on our infrastructure, and cryptocurrency is a market that we understand incredibly well. Come and join our members. Make sure you take advantage of this fantastic discount price that we've got now. At the very minimum, it would be amazing if you could like, comment, and share these videos. We're starting to build up our YouTube presence. And the idea about the YouTube channel is not so much to try and get lots of subscribers and make money on advertising revenue or anything like that, which is what a lot of these other so-called signals and fundamental news guys are putting out there. That's not really our agenda. Our agenda is just to prove to the world that we actually know what we're doing, and that you can go back in time and watch some of our previous videos where I'm sort of suggesting certain coins are doing certain things, and then a few days later I'm coming along and saying, you know what, it was 16% in my last video, it just ran 88%. Yeah, So it's a way for us to kind of independently timestamp some of what's going on, especially our calls, and for me to give away some of our methodology that's helping us predict and forecast these markets. All right, my name is Jonathan Regan, also known as New Questions. I really hope you do like, subscribe, and share this content. If you've got friends in the industry who have actually suffered, who've lost money in crypto, I'm here to say that crypto is definitely not dead. You just need the right team, the right automation and support, and the right method, and you can make all that money back and a lot more, just like all of our members. All right, I'll talk to you soon. blockchaineducation.com.au, great super discount. Let's call it a super discount. Yeah, it's a super day here on the Gold Coast, beautiful, and I hope you have a wonderful day as well. Cheers.